Okay, so I just want to look at solving equations in degrees. So we go, alright, so 2 sine theta minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to solve it for theta is in between 0 and 360. Okay, so between 0 and 360, that's 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. So we're looking at values that when, let's just rearrange this, so equals 1, so sine theta equals 1/2, because we just bring the 1 over, that's plus 1 divided by 2. What values of theta could I put in there? So when you take the sine away, you're going to get 1/2. Now, 1/2 is positive, so that means that 4 stations 2 cos. That means we're going to be in quadrant 1 and 2. Okay, so that means that the answer is going to be theta and 180 minus theta, because in that quadrant is theta and 180 minus theta. The acute angle, we can get that by putting sine the minus 1/2. When we do sine the minus 1/2, you get 30 degrees. So it's going to be 30 and 180 minus 30. So that ends up being 30 and 150. So just on that note, if you then went sine of 30, we would get 1/2. Try it. And if you put sine of 150, you get 1/2. That's how you can check if it's true. Okay, so solving 2 cos squared theta minus 1 equals 0, between 0 and 360. So we know it's between 0 and 360. That's there. So 2 cos squared theta equals 1. Cos squared theta equals 1/2. And then cos theta equals plus or minus root 1 on 2, which is plus or minus root 1 on root 2, or plus or minus 1 on root 2. So cos is positive, you see from here, and cos is negative. So where is cos positive? All stations 2 cos. Cos is positive there and there, negative in that one and that one. So that means the angle will be theta, 180 minus theta, 180 plus theta, 360 minus theta. Okay, so the acute angle is cos the minus 1 of 1 on root 2, which is 45. So that means that it's going to be 45, 180 minus 45, 180 plus 45, and 360 minus 45. Okay, so your 3 answers for 2 cos squared theta minus 1 equals 0, which is cos squared theta is 1 on 2, and cos theta is plus or minus 1 on root 2, would be 45, 135, because that's 180 minus 45, 225, because that's 180 plus 45, and 315, which is 360 minus 45. So if you went back and you just found cos of 45, cos of 135, cos of 225, and cos of 315, you will find you'll get 1 on root 2, minus 1 on root 2, minus 1 on root 2, because that's quadrant 2 and quadrant 3, and cos is negative in those quadrants, and 1 on root 2, because cos is positive in the 4th quadrant and positive in the 1st quadrant. Okay, so tan theta equals minus root 3, and we'll solve it for theta is in between 0 and 360. Okay, so where is tan negative? Tan is negative in that quadrant and that quadrant, so 3 and 4. So we're looking at 180 minus theta, 360 minus theta. To find the acute angle, you go tan the minus 1 of root 3. Notice no negative, because if you did negative, it would not put it into the 1st quadrant, which gives you the acute angle. So that will give you 60 degrees. And if you go back to those triangles, you could see that root 3 on 1 is 60. So that means that we have 180 minus 60 and 360 minus 60, which is 120 and 300. So if you were to go tan 120, you would get a negative, because it's in negative in that quadrant. And it's the same as tan 60, which is negative root 3 on 1. Even if you put tan 120, square it, and then square root it, you'll get minus root 3. And if you went tan 300, it will be negative tan 60, which is negative root 3. because it's in the fourth quadrant. So those two angles work, and they are solutions to this equation. Further on that, if you have a sec or a reciprocal one, we know that sec theta equals hypotenuse on adjacent, so this is hypotenuse on adjacent. So what you need to do is you really need to find the cos one, so you flip it. So that's minus 1 on root 2. Still stays negative, because negative h on a, if you flip that, would be a on negative h, which is negative a on h, because a positive on a negative is a negative. So where is cos negative? So it's all stations 2 cos. So that and there. Okay, so there's two negatives. The acute angle equals 45 degrees, because cos the minus 1 of 1 on root 2 equals 45. Okay, so that's going to be 180 minus 45 and 180 plus 45 in those quadrants. So that's 135 and 225. And if you want to check, let's find sec of 135. Put all that as 1 on cos of 135, and when you do that you will get a decimal, but if you square it you are going to get, see, if you square it you're going to get 1 minus root 2, so if you square it you'll get 2. So for this one you'll end up with 2, and then when you with a decimal you square it, you get 2, and then when you square root it, you get root 2. Okay, and the same as if you went sec 225, it's the same as 1 on cos 225. And when you get a decimal, and then when you square it, you get 2, and square root it, you get root 2. But you get a negative as well, because 225 cos is negative in that quadrant, and 135 cos is negative in